So, which is better, Nen from Hunter x Hunter or Curse Energy and Curse Techniques from Jujutsu Kaisen? I know, it's a very debated topic, so I chose one person from each series to showcase the pinnacle of the power system. Wait, did I say pinnacle? I mean the most confusing part of the power, the part that needs blocks of text to explain. We have Kinji Hakari from JJK and Knuckle Bine from Hunter x Hunter. These two prove that pure strength means nothing when it comes to gambling and taxes. So I'll show you why Hakari versus Knuckle is actually close. This is the part where we look at the character's physical strength, speed, and durability, and I hate doing math, so I'm looking at their feats instead, but if it does come to neck and neck comparisons, I'll pull out that TI-84. Let's start with Hakari, and honestly it was hard to find a lot of feats of raw strength because he was in his jackpot mode for most of his fights, but we learned that Curse Energy can only enhance the body so much, so even without his jackpot mode, which we'll talk about later, we can assume that Hakari can reach the same level just for a short amount of time and not as often. That being said, Kinji was able to make Yuji's nose bleed with just one hit and push him back a considerable distance. Mahito performed a similar attack on Yuji, didn't get that same effect, but cutting him because of a hidden blade. Yuji stated that the whole fight was just to get his approval, so he wasn't really fighting back, but he was trying to stand his ground against Hakari, so it's still impressive. Apparently, Hakari had some beef with cargo bins, but thankfully this showed off some of his strength. He easily crushed a cargo bin just by landing on it, punched Kashimo through one, and Hakari and Kashimo ping-ponged the bin into nothingness basically. This gambler can no-diff random curse spirits and is easily a grade 1 level in strength. We know this because back in the beginning of the series with the Mechamaru vs Panda fight, Mechamaru states to be a semi-grade 1 and Panda tanked his giant explosion and beat Mechamaru relatively easily. And since Kashimo defeated Panda no problem, and Hakari matched Kashimo, you see what I'm saying? It's a very fair assumption. Okay, speed. Speed is a very touchy subject in JJK because Maki Zenin is used at the pinnacle, I guess that's my favorite word today, but she's used at the pinnacle of speed when it comes to more normal characters, those not Gojo or Sukuna. Maki was able to catch a bullet at point blank range, and more importantly, she was able to react, dodge, and counterattack Mach 3 attacks in the air. We can't assume that Hakari can keep up with that exact speed, but he is fast enough to punch Kashimo several meters away, have a little dance break, and then catch up to him with a punch. Hakari can easily sprint through a shipping dock, no problem. He speed blitzed Charles Bernard, a sorcerer who can see into the future, and his most impressive feat was when Kinji dodged a lightning attack. Ah, dang it, I knew I had to do some math in this one. So, Mach 3 is about 2,300 miles per hour, while lightning, not the big flash because that moves at light speed, but the actual lightning strike moves around 270,000 miles per hour. Doing some very, and I mean very, basic research. An average male's running speed is at 8 miles per hour, while an average human reaction time is 150 to 300 milliseconds, or 0.3 seconds. Doing some math, 8 miles per hour is around 0.00222 miles per second, meaning that reaction time is around 135 times greater than movement speed. And scaling it to the lightning strike, it means Hakari's movement is around 2,000 miles per hour. But since he didn't completely dodge the lightning, like he still got hit and it was a pretty bad injury too, it is most likely lower than that, which is a pretty good estimate. And I know this math is probably wrong because I did it on a sticky note, so if you have the right math, let me know. Let's quickly go into his durability before I get into more math. Kinji's durability is surprisingly not as high as I thought it would be. While in jackpot mode, he was able to tank Kashimo's attacks, who had been matching Hakari throughout the whole fight. It seems like Hakari's body maxes out with the lightning attack as it blows off his limbs, which is amazing. Lightning is incredibly powerful, especially at such a close range. He also has an automatic reverse curse technique, regenerating all of his body when needed, increasing his survivability a ton. Outside of his jackpot, he received a seemingly fatal blow from Charles Bernard, an amateur sorcerer with a moderate curse energy level. He also couldn't keep up with Kashimo during this time, spitting blood only after a few attacks. This means Hakari's durability drastically dropped when not in his special jackpot mode, not to mention he loses access to his auto regeneration. We're finally at Knuckle Bine, and luckily all of his feats are a bit more straightforward. Knuckle's normal punch is so strong that it would have knocked out Gon if he didn't use Ken. This is the same Gon who withstood getting his hand blown off and absolutely beat up by Genthru, as well as getting attacked by the trained ninja Hanzo for 3 hours straight without Nen. And Gon never thought the same way as he did with Knuckle. He's able to match Gon's strength, who at base is able to push open the 4-ton door and shatter rock pillars with ease. Knuckle also punched and kicked Gon several feet away with no problem. And with his greatest showing of strength, Knuckle punched Yuppie with enough force to push him a few feet. Yuppie is a chimera ant famed for his strength and durability. He didn't budge when Miriam used his tail attack on him. This same attack tore through humans and chimera ants alike with no problem. Knuckle is fast enough to keep up with and overwhelm Gon in hand-to-hand combat. Gon and Killua have been shown to be equal in this aspect with the sparring match, and we all know how fast Killua is even without Godspeed, ripping out people's hearts without them noticing. Like, come on now. Knuckle was able to dodge Yuppie's attacks when he was basically invisible, meaning Yuppie had no reason to avoid that area. After a minute of fighting Chitu, Knuckle was able to react to the chimera ant's insane speed and was inches away from punching him. Chitu has been calculated to be at hypersonic speeds after dodging a bullet after it touched his hair. The term hypersonic is given to things that can reach up to at least 5 times the speed of sound, or Mach 5. There's no way Knuckle is that fast, but his reaction and movement speed was able to intercept a character who could reach those levels, so it's still very impressive. His stamina is crazy too, because he was able to outrun 4 cop cars and 2 motorcycles running all day and night as a 10-year-old. Knuckle has damage negation, which is tied to his main Nen ability, so it was a bit difficult to determine his actual durability. But while fighting Gon, Knuckles stated he would have been defeated if Gon used Jujunkin on him. I'm not pronouncing that right, oh well. Seems like a pretty low durability feat, but this move made Morel, a seasoned veteran, scared and sent a gorilla-sized chimera ant through the sky and seemingly to another country, but realistically over the horizon, so pretty good. Even though it seems like Knuckle has fought more people and likely has more experience, I think Hakari takes the strength category. The gambler punched craters into the ground, and his cargo bin feats prove he can destroy metal no problem. His barely dodging lightning move though might be lower than Knuckle, reacting and nearly hitting a hypersonic character. But the durability for each should clear up this tie. Both have varying durabilities due to their powers. On one hand, Hakari's jackpot gives him instant regeneration, while Knuckles' ability gives him damage nullification when following certain rules. But this section focuses on just raw power. Basic Nen and Curse energy yes, but no enhancements from limited time special abilities. So, Knuckle caps at a punch that sends a giant creature over the horizon, while Hakari took a fatal blow from a very new sorcerer and might have died if not for a jackpot. So surprisingly, I'm giving this one to Knuckle. Okay, finally, the next section. I gotta say, it feels good finally getting away from researching all the muscle and speed information and see the subtle nuances of the character's intelligence. Let's start with Knuckle this time. Knuckle is very good at reading people, perhaps due to his Beast Hunter background. This allowed him to instantly figure out 2 major weaknesses of Gon's, I can't pronounce it, Jujunkin. He created a strategy to ambush Chitu, and when the plan fell apart, Knuckle just had to test the wind direction to tell that there was another person giving Chitu information. Knuckle can also understand his ability, like not trying to make fun of him, it is very confusing, but this power requires him to give a numerical value to the abstract concept of aura, and he is able to do this in mere moments, giving him an incredibly mathematical brain. With the help of Morel, Knuckle was able to trick Yuppie and get an attack off too. People already know that most JJK characters have incredibly high battle IQ, meaning in a fight they are incredibly versatile and fast thinkers, with Hakari being no different. During his fight with Kashimo, Hakari understood the former's electricity-like curse energy and moved his domain over open water to either waste all of his energy or stop using it completely. Kinji knew to get in Charles' blind spot to avoid his future sight. This was before he even knew that future sight had to be confirmed with Charles' eyesight. When Kashimo released all of his cursed energy in a giant explosion, Hakari was able to think quickly enough to make an impromptu binding vow to save himself. He's also smart outside of battle too. Kinji deduced that Yuji was from Jujutsu High just by getting a phone call from Kiera asking one question about Gojo. Let's not forget that he runs a whole gambling fight club and writes out scripts for every single fighter. Which is impressive, yes, but more importantly takes a lot of knowledge of what people like and what they're capable of. Alright, I think this one is very obvious. One of these characters has outsmarted multiple people on various occasions where the other has their plans fall apart and needs another person to help. Even though Knuckle is a math genius, basically, that's all he has, and we don't even know if that extends past his Nen ability doing math and stuff like that. While Hakari is more well-rounded, showing skills in making working plans and good deduction skills, which is important when looking at a battle. So the point here goes to Hakari, easily. Oh my god, we are finally here. It's time to explain Hakari and Knuckles' powers. Jesus. I'm going right into it while this knowledge is still fresh in my head. Hakari is a strong person, sure, but his claim to fame is his domain expansion, Idle Death Gamble. A domain expansion is a technique used by skilled curse sorcerers which creates a barrier from the user's innate curse technique. This barrier improves the user's curse techniques, and all those techniques are guaranteed to hit. Those are the basics, but Idle Death Gamble works a bit differently. Hakari's domain expansion forgoes any enhancements and physical attacks for luck and gambling. Yeah, it's a bit strange. This becomes more apparent when we realize it's actually based off the real-life pachinko machine and romance manga CR Private Pure Love Train. So all those characters start making a bit more sense. So, the domain is basically a casino with one really great jackpot. Infinite curse energy for 4 minutes and 11 seconds, which makes the 1 out of 239 chance extremely worth it if it ends with unlimited power. How does the barrier work though? I doubt Kinji just sits at a machine and pulls a lever. Sadly, no, it is not that easy. When Hakari activates the domain, the rules are instantly transferred into the opponent's brain, which I wish happened to me. The domain starts at the normal stage, just like a pachinko machine, or more appropriately a slot machine. The goal is to get 3 of the same number. Hakari starts rolling by doing something called preview performances. These performances come in 3 possible forms that Hakari himself can choose from. There are collected balls, shutter doors, and pseudo spins, which manifest as physical attacks and abilities even outside the domain. Collected balls are marble-sized projectiles that are mainly used as a quick small attack and a distraction. Shutter doors summon doors that close in on the enemy. They have been used as attacks with a similar force of a punch, and even as a shield to cut off line of sight. Finally, there are pseudo spins, which allow Hakari to revert damage by redoing a sequence or a roll. These have a high chance of being a dud, so he uses it sparingly. Like I said earlier, the preview performances are essentially pulling the lever once on machine to get the first number. So Hakari uses collected ball once, that's one roll. Then using shutter doors is another roll. Does it start to make sense? No? Yeah, I know. After manifesting 1 or 2 of the preview performances, the stage switches to a reach event, which is basically like a cutscene that cannot be interfered with. You know how with slot machines it feels like the last number takes forever? This reach event is like a whole video while you wait for that last number. The stage and cutscene is determined by the hype level, which is something I did not mention before, and I now regret. Let's back up a little bit. So the hype level represents the chances of getting a jackpot. So a low hype level means a lower chance, while the highest hype level means over an 80% chance of a jackpot. For this, we need to go even further back to the preview performances. All of these come in 3 different colors besides the pseudo spins, which comes in numbers. The colors, or numbers, are random, but they give a preview, the name makes sense now. They give a preview of what the hype level will be. Green is the lowest, red is the middle, and golden is the highest, or 1, 2, 3 for the pseudo spins. There's even a chance of getting rainbow colors, or a 4th try, when we talk about pseudo spins, which means an automatic jackpot. There are a total of 4 reach events with differing hype levels. Starting at the lowest hype, there is Transportation IC Card, which is only a 1-star hype. Next is Commuter Seat Scramble with 1.5-star hype, followed by Enduring a Full Bladder on Express Train, and skipping over that weird name, it's a 2-star hype. Finally, there is Precious Last Friday Train, which is a 3-star hype and that 80% jackpot chance I was talking about earlier. There are other ways to increase the chances no matter the hype, like if one of the characters appears in the background or if the trains aren't even related. There's multiple different things. And we are almost done. We're nearly there. Idle Death Gamble isn't just a cool name, it is a life or death risk, because after Hakari activates the domain, the only way for it to be released is if Hakari hits the jackpot or the opponent defeats him. Yeah, so if the jackpot is not hit after the reach event, the stage reverts back to the normal stage and the process starts over again. But if the jackpot is hit after the 4 minutes and 11 seconds of unlimited power, when Hakari uses the domain again, there are 2 modes Idle Death Gamble can take. There's probability change mode or time reduction mode. These are decided based on how the jackpot was won in the previous use. If the previous jackpot was won with 3 odd numbers, it becomes probability change mode, which increases the jackpot chance to 75%. If the previous jackpot was won with 3 even numbers, it becomes time reduction mode, which increases the rate of the spins, meaning with all the math and statistics, there's a faster chance of getting a jackpot. But if Hakari's in time reduction mode after 30 or 70 spins, I don't even know what that means, but it says it right here. Without a jackpot, it goes back to normal stage. And we did it! We are all now experts on how Hakari's domain works, and despite the amazing payoff with Jackpot, this whole ability relies on luck and skill to capitalize on that luck. Remember, while Hakari's in the domain, he's just as vulnerable as a normal cursed sorcerer, which is how he got defeated by Charles and Kashima before. Now onto Knuckle. Knuckle's main ability is called Hakoware Bankruptcy Chapter 7, and once this power gets going, it is incredibly strong. So Hakoware first activates when Knuckle lends aura to his opponent. This conjures APR or Pot Clean, which is this cute little monster mascot thing right here. Pot Clean is indestructible, so targeting this floating thing only wastes time, which is actually pretty good because it benefits Knuckle because his whole ability thrives with time. You see, every 10 seconds that number on Pot Clean's head increases. The increase corresponds with 10% of the borrowed aura. Yeah, time to put your math brain on. Hakoware essentially gives aura a numerical value, so a normal punch using Nen now has a value of 100 or something. When Hakoware is activated, neither Knuckle nor the opponent can inflict or receive damage. All blows just transfer aura from one to the other. That being said, a person could somehow still be pushed back even though there's no damage taken for some reason. Knuckle is basically a loan shark that wants to give his opponent as much aura as possible in addition to that 10% increase every 10 seconds. This ability relies on two types of aura power, potential aura power and actual aura power. Potential aura is the amount of aura stored in a person's body. This number can increase with training, but most people have the same number throughout their whole life. So person A can have 10,000 potential aura, while person B only has 5,000. Actual aura power is the amount of aura a person can release at one time through their attacks. So even if person A has more potential aura, they might only be able to release 200 aura per attack, while person B might be able to release 1,000 aura at one time, making them technically stronger even though they have less potential aura. Knuckles' goal is to give the opponent enough aura to surpass the potential aura. When this happens, the enemy becomes bankrupt. Bankruptcy results in Pot Clean turning into this demon thing called Individual Rent Suppressor, or IRS. Funny. It forces the opponent in a state of Zetsu, shutting off all their Nen abilities for 30 days. So Knuckle doesn't really want a true fight, rather just giving the enemy power until they go bankrupt. And yes, giving aura does increase the opponent's strength, so it's a bit of a risky game. And we can't forget that it works two ways. So the enemy gives back all the aura they borrowed, Hakoware turns off, meaning damage is back on too. Hakoware's interest rate only increases if Knuckle is within 50 meters, so he must stay decently close for it to work. There are some side abilities that make Hakoware a bit versatile, like how Knuckle can use Hakoware on an adjacent ability that shares the original person's Nen. In simpler terms, if Knuckle was fighting, Megami, if he punched Divine Dog, Pot Clean would still activate on Megami since they share the same curse energy. Knuckle can also track wherever Pot Clean is no matter the distance, so it makes it pretty good to keep tabs on people. We have finally gone through all the information, and what do you guys think? Who is winning an all-out fight? It's difficult to decide, and surprisingly both people fight in a similar tactic, overwhelming the enemy. Hakari wants to dominate by getting his jackpot and just physically beat the other person. And Knuckle wants to add up the aura interest fast enough to quickly bankrupt the opponent and get an easy win after the abilities are shut off. I can honestly see a guaranteed win for both of these characters. Even though Knuckle benefits from a close hand-to-hand combat situation, he can also switch to a stalling match, hitting Hakari only a few times and running away, letting that 10% interest do most of the work. The switch up between the close range and hit-and-run strategy does give Knuckle time to think ahead. Although I can't ignore the fact that Hakoware gives both people damage negation, so getting attacks off on Hakari doesn't really affect him or slow him down that much. But it was shown that Kinji isn't as skilled at combat as his fellow JJK counterparts, getting beat by the very new sorcerer Charles. Comparing that to Knuckle's skills, the Beast Hunter is definitely out-punching, therefore adding more debt. Side note, so you guys don't kill me, I'm not saying Hakari is a bad hand-to-hand fighter, not at all. Just in this series we have only seen him fight twice really, and both times he got bested. The biggest hurdle is getting through that jackpot. All of Knuckles' hard work will be pointless if Hakari's infinite curse energy is able to return all that borrowed aura, and then he can just defeat him pretty easily. The power system is similar in the fact that both Nen and curse energy have a limit on the amount that is outputted at one time. So Hakari is not returning all of it in one hit, but the infinite amount for 4 minutes does ensure that it will be a big pain in the ass. Knuckle has faced a monster with seemingly endless aura. but his aura stayed the same the whole fight, while Hakari's aura spikes from normal levels to infinite back down to normal again. So if the aura deck goes past his normal levels during his jackpot, he loses as soon as the jackpot ends. It's kind of like that Cash App glitch I keep seeing. For a bit, people thought they had infinite money to spend, but when it got fixed, that money was still spent and the debt racked up. But Kinji's tenacity and constant pressure makes the hit and run tactic a lot harder. Hakari is fast and a quick thinker, making Knuckles' options limited when trying to overcome the more dangerous attacks. This video is getting way too long, but one last thing to think about. If a domain expansion is completely manifested with the user's curse technique and energy, doesn't that mean Knuckle can just like punch the domain or the things in the domain and add interest that way? If it could, that would change a lot. But what do you guys think? Is this an even match or am I reaching here? Let me know which characters you think will actually be close in a fight in the comments down below. Alright, peace.